I arrived early
what would you do
and heard my
if
son-in-law
this
say,
happened to you?
I only cared
Would you
about my
confront the
daughter's
truth?
money. And
Or
in that
walk
moment,
away and
standing
never look
outside
back?
my own daughter's
Because in
kitchen
real
door,
life,
holding a
truth
pie I had
doesn't
baked for
always
dinner,
bring
I
peace.
realized something
Sometimes
inside
it
my family
destroys
had been
everything
rotting
you
for a
believe in.
long time. My name is Margaret
what
Hayes.
would you do
I'm
if this
67
happened
years
to
old,
you?
widowed,
Would you confront
retired,
the truth?
and until that
or
evening,
walk away
I believed my
and never
daughter
look
Emily
back?
and I
Because
told
in
each other
real life,
everything.
truth
I was wrong.
doesn't always
After
bring
my
peace.
husband died,
Sometimes
8 years ago,
it destroys
Emily became
everything
my
you
whole
believe in.
world.
If
She
this
was
story
my
hit you,
only child.
don't forget
My reason
to keep moving.
Drop your
I
thoughts
raised
in
her
the
through
comments.
scraped knees,
I read
broken
every
hearts,
single
college
one.
debt,
And
if
one
you want
terrible
more
winter
real
when we
life,
nearly
so
lost our home,
what would you do
after my
if
husband's
this
medical
happened
bills
to you?
swallowed our savings?
Would you confront the
We
truth?
survived
or
because
walk
we
away
stayed honest
and
with
never
each other.
look back?
Or
Because
at least
in real
I
life,
thought we had.
truth
Emily
doesn't
married
always
Daniel
bring
4
peace.
years ago.
Sometimes
Charming smile.
it destroys
Expensive
everything
suits.
you believe in.
Always
If this
talking
story
about
hit you,
investments.
don't forget
The kind of
to
man
like,
who could make
drop
ordinary
your
thoughts
thoughts
in the
sound
comments.
intelligent.
I read
never fully
every
trusted
single
him.
one. But I told
And if you
myself
want
that
more
was a
real
mother's
life,
jealousy.
so
That
what would you
maybe
do
I
if
struggled
this
seeing
happened to
another
you?
person become
Would you
central
confront the
in
truth?
my daughter's life.
Or walk
that
away
evening,
and
Emily
never look
invited
back?
me for dinner.
Because in
I
real
arrived
life,
40
truth
minutes early.
doesn't always
My
bring
mistake.
peace.
Or
Sometimes
maybe my blessing.
it destroys
I reached the kitchen
everything
door
you
and
believe
heard
in.
Daniel's voice.
If this story
Low,
hit you,
sharp,
don't forget
controlled.
to like.
She
Drop
only
your
wants
thoughts
your
in the
money,
comments.
Emily. I read
froze
every
every
nerve
one.
in me.
And if
went
you
still.
want more real
Emily
life,
sounded
so
shocked.
what
What
would you
are
do
you talking
if
about?
this happened to you?
Your mother knows
Would you
about the
confront the truth?
inheritance.
Or walk away
Inheritance.
and never
My
look
chest
back?
tightened.
Because in real
Emily
life,
had recently
truth
inherited
doesn't
money from her
always
late
bring
father's
peace.
family.
Sometimes
A trust.
it destroys
Enough to change lives.
everything you
I
believe
had
in.
told almost
If this
no
story
one.
hit you,
Daniel continued.
don't forget
She
to
acts
like.
sweet,
Drop
but
your
she's
thoughts
waiting for
in the
you to
comments.
support her.
I read
nearly
every
dropped the
single
pie.
one. Support
And
me,
if you want
I
more
owned
real
my
life,
little house.
so
what
had a
would you
pension.
do if
No
this
debt.
happened to you?
The accusation
Would you confront
was
the truth?
absurd,
Or
but
walk
what crushed
away
me
and
was
never look back?
silence.
Because
Emily
in
didn't
real
defend
life,
me
truth
immediately.
doesn't
That
always
silence
bring
hurt
peace.
more
Sometimes
than Daniel's words.
it destroys
Then Emily
everything
asked quietly,
you believe in.
You
If this story
really
hit
believe
you,
that?
don't forget
Daniel
to
answered,
like. I believe
Drop
old
your
people
thoughts
get
in the
scared
comments.
and selfish.
I read
old
every
people,
single
selfish.
one.
And if
I
you
pushed
want
the door
more
open.
real life,
Both
so
turned.
what would you
Daniel's
do if
face
this
drained
happened
of
to
color.
you?
Emily
Would you confront
stood
the truth
abruptly.
or walk
Mom,
away
I
and
placed
never
the
look
pie
back?
on the counter.
Because in real
very
life,
carefully.
truth
Because my
doesn't
hands
always
were
bring
shaking.
peace. Then I
Sometimes,
said,
interesting
it destroys
conversation.
everything
Nobody
you believe
spoke.
in.
The
If
room
this
felt
story hit
airless.
you,
Daniel
don't forget
recovered first.
to like.
Margaret,
Drop your
you
thoughts in the
misunderstood.
comments.
I looked
I
him
read
dead
every
in the eye.
single
No.
one. And
I
if you
heard
want more
perfectly.
real life,
Emily
so
moved toward
what
me.
would you do,
Mom,
if this happened to
isn't.
you?
I
Would you
raised
confront
a
the
hand.
truth?
No.
Or walk away?
Let him
and
explain
never look
how I'm
back?
after your money.
Because in real
Daniel
life,
gave a
truth
practiced
doesn't
sigh.
always bring
The
peace.
kind men give when
Sometimes
pretending reason.
it destroys
I'm trying to protect
everything
my wife
you believe in.
from me.
If this story
Imagine
hit you,
hearing that in
don't
your daughter's
forget
kitchen.
to
I
like.
laughed.
Drop your
A brittle
thoughts in the
laugh.
comments.
Because pain
I read
sometimes
every
disguises
single
itself.
one. And if
Then
you
I
want
picked up my
more
purse.
real life,
I
so
won't stay where
what-
I'm discussed like a thief. Emily followed me outside. Mom, please. I turned and asked the question that mattered. Did you believe him? She hesitated. Only for a second. But a second can split a heart. I didn't know what to think. That answer cut deeper than if she had said yes. I drove home in tears I refused to let fall until I reached my driveway. Inside, I sat in darkness, thinking, replaying every holiday, every strange comment Daniel made about finances, every time Emily seemed distracted when I mentioned paperwork. Then something hit me. 3 months earlier, Emily had asked unusual questions about my will, property title, bank beneficiaries. At the time, I thought she was being practical. Now, I wasn't sure. At 10:17 p.m., my phone rang. Emily. I let it ring. Then a text. Mom, please talk to me. I didn't answer. 5 minutes later, another text. Daniel is furious you left. That made me pause. Why furious? He insulted me. I left. Why was he angry? Then one more text arrived. This one changed everything. I found something in Daniel's desk. Can I come over? My pulse quickened. I replied, Come. Emily arrived near midnight. No makeup, crying, hands trembling. She placed a folder on my table. I found these. Inside, copies of trust documents, her inheritance records, property estimates, and my house deed. My blood ran cold. Why did Daniel have my deed copied? Then I saw handwritten notes. Sell after transfer. Move mother to assisted living. Release funds. I looked up slowly. Emily whispered, I think he planned to control everything. Everything. Not just her money. My life. My home. Then she said something even worse. There's one document missing. What document? The revised beneficiary form. I frowned. What form? She swallowed hard. The one naming Daniel's sole access if something happened to me. Silence. Then I understood. This wasn't about a rude comment overheard at dinner. This was about something much darker. Emily grabbed my hand. Mom! What? Her face went white. I think Daniel knows I took the folder. As if summoned, headlights swept across my window. A car stopped outside. Engine idling. We both turned. Black sedan. Daniel's car. And then 3 slow knocks at my front door. Those 3 knocks didn't sound human. They sounded like a warning. Emily grabbed my wrist. Don't open it. But Daniel called through the door. Emily, sweetheart, let's talk. His voice was calm. Too calm. That frightened me more than shouting would have. I stepped toward the window. Daniel stood on my porch alone, hands in coat pockets, smiling, as if he'd arrived for tea. Emily whispered. He followed me. I believed her. Because men like Daniel didn't lose control quietly. They hid it, then used it. Another knock. Harder. Margaret, I know she's in there. I should have called police. Instead, I opened the door. Not wide, just enough. Daniel looked at me like nothing had happened. You left dinner upset. You accused me of stealing from my daughter. He ignored that. I need Emily to come home. Emily stepped into view. No, that single word changed the room. Daniel's smile twitched. Don't be dramatic. Emily held up the folder. I found these. His face hardened instantly. There it was. The real man. Cold. Calculating. He reached for the folder. I pulled Emily back. Leave. His voice dropped. You don't understand what you're interfering with. I said something I never imagined saying to my son-in-law. If you don't step off my porch, I'll make sure every neighbor hears why. He stared, then leaned closer, and whispered, You should check your bank tomorrow. Then he walked away. Those words kept me awake all night. At dawn, I checked my accounts. My pension was untouched. Savings untouched. Then I saw something strange. A transfer request pending. Submitted online. For nearly $80,000. I never authorized it. My hands went numb. Daniel. He had my information somehow. Emily looked sick. I told him once where you kept your old paperwork. I called the bank. Fraud hold placed. Barely in time. If I'd waited hours. Gone. That should have ended it. Police. Charges. Done. But family betrayal rarely ends neatly. Because by noon, Emily made a confession. There's more. I almost laughed. Of course there was. She admitted Daniel had pressured her for months. Pushed me to sell my house. Move me somewhere easier. Merge family assets. She thought it was financial planning. Now she saw the pattern. Control. Then she said something that chilled me. Mom, Daniel has debts. How much? She looked down. Over $300,000. I sat. Because suddenly everything made sense. He didn't marry stability. He hunted it. That evening we met an attorney Emily trusted. We brought the folder. The lawyer reviewed everything, then removed one paper. This is worse than you think. I frowned. A draft power of attorney. My name. Forged signature. giving Daniel authority over medical and financial decisions. I couldn't breathe. He planned to own my life, legally, or try. Emily cried. I'm so sorry. I touched her hand. This isn't your shame, but in truth, I blamed myself too. I saw red flags. Ignored them, because mothers sometimes confuse hope with wisdom. We filed emergency fraud reports, prepared to leave for a hotel, safer than my house. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Silence. Then Daniel. You made this ugly. I said nothing. He continued. If Emily testifies, she loses more than money. What does that mean? Click. Call ended. Threat. Clear enough. That night we stayed at the hotel. Room 214. I barely slept. At 3 a.m., Emily shook me awake. Mom, someone had slid an envelope under the door. No stamp. No name. Inside, a photograph, taken through a window. Me in my kitchen, days earlier, watching. Below it, you should have stayed out of family business. My blood ran cold. He had been watching me, maybe for months. Emily wanted police immediately. But before we called, her phone buzzed. Message from Daniel. Come to the office tomorrow, or your mother's secret comes out. I stared. What secret? Emily looked confused. I don't know, but I did, or thought I did. 40 years ago, before Emily was born, my husband and I nearly lost everything in a lawsuit involving his brother's failed business. We buried that chapter. Could Daniel know, or was it bluff? Either way, he believed he had leverage, and leverage makes desperate men dangerous. Next morning, we went to Daniel's investment office, against my better judgment, because sometimes to end manipulation, you face it. Office empty, reception dark, only Daniel waiting. He placed one folder on the desk. Sit. No one moved. Then he smiled. You think this is about inheritance? He opened the folder. Inside, old court records. My late husband's brother. The lawsuit. God help me. He had found it. And then he said words that turned everything upside down. I didn't marry Emily for money. I stared. Then why? He leaned back. Because your family owes mine. Before I could speak, the office door opened, and an older man walked in. I recognized him instantly. My dead husband's brother. A man I had believed was buried 20 years. Alive, and staring at me. For a moment, I thought I was seeing a ghost. My late husband's brother, Walter Hayes, had been dead to this family for over 20 years. Not buried. Worse, erased. After the lawsuit ruined us, he vanished. No calls, no letters, nothing. And now he stood in Daniel's office like he had been waiting for this reunion. Older, thinner, but unmistakably Walter. Emily whispered, "Who is that?" I couldn't answer. Walter smiled. "Hello, Margaret." My knees nearly gave out. Daniel looked almost pleased, like a magician revealing his final trick. I found my voice. "You're supposed to be dead." Walter laughed softly. "You believed what was convenient." The cruelty of that landed hard. I looked at Daniel. "This is what this is about?" Daniel folded his hands. "Debt." I nearly spat the word. My husband paid enough for Walter's mistakes. Walter's eyes darkened. "No, your husband protected himself and left me ruined. Old poison. Still alive." Emily stepped between us. "What does this have to do with me?" Daniel answered. "Everything." According to Walter, years ago when the lawsuit collapsed, he lost property tied to family shares he believed should have been partially his. He spent decades convinced my husband cheated him. And Daniel. Daniel was Walter's nephew. I stared. "You married my daughter for revenge?" Emily looked sick. Daniel didn't deny it. He said something worse. "I married her because proximity makes recovery easier." Recovery. As if my daughter were a legal strategy. Something broke in me. I stood. "We're leaving." Daniel slid another paper across the desk. Before you go, read that. I shouldn't have, but I did. My house. A lien notice. Fraudulent, maybe? But filed. Using old claims tied to the historic dispute. I looked at Walter. You touched my home? He said calmly. I'm collecting what was stolen. Emily grabbed my arm. Mom, go. We turned, and the office door locked. Daniel had pressed something beneath the desk. My heart slammed. What are you doing? Settling family business. I truly believed, in that moment, we might not leave. Then Emily did something I never expected. She pulled her phone up, recording. Smart girl. She aimed it at Daniel. Say that again. Daniel lunged. Too late. She already had enough. Panic flashed in his eyes for the first time, because manipulators fear exposure more than conflict. Walter shouted. Daniel grabbed for the phone. I shoved him hard. At 67 years old, I knocked my son-in-law into a chair. Still proud of that. Emily ran for the lock, opened the door. We fled. Straight to police. This time, with evidence. Recording. Forged papers. Fraud transfer. Threat messages. Everything. By evening, detectives searched Daniel's office and found more. Other forged asset schemes. Multiple victims. He hadn't targeted only us. We were a pattern. Walter disappeared before arrest. Coward. But Daniel was detained. I should have felt relief. Instead, I felt hollow. Because betrayal doesn't disappear when handcuffs click. That night, Emily sat at my kitchen table crying. I married a stranger. I held her. No, you trusted the wrong man. That's different. Then she asked quietly, did Dad really cheat Walter? The question hurt, because truth is rarely pure. I admitted what I had hidden. My husband did sign papers without Walter's consent during the lawsuit, to save us, to save Emily as a child. I hated that truth, but lies built this disaster. No more. Emily nodded slowly. Honesty, again healing more than comfort. I thought we were done. Then, at 11:40 p.m., the landline rang. Who calls landlines anymore? I answered. Walter. I knew instantly. His breathing rough. They'll kill me. My blood chilled. Who? Daniel wasn't working alone. Every nerve went cold. What do you mean? There are others in the firm. The investment office. Partners. People whose fraud Daniel could expose. Walter sounded terrified. Meet me at the old marina. I should have refused. But answers have gravity. I went. Alone. Against Emily's protests. The marina was almost empty. Fog over dark water. I saw Walter near the dock, shaking. He handed me a key. Safety box downtown. What's inside? Proof. Proof of what? Before he answered, headlights swept across the dock. Black SUV. Fast. Too fast. Walter looked up in horror. Run! Vehicle accelerated. I jumped aside. Walter didn't. Impact. Scream. Then silence. The SUV vanished. Hit and run. No accident. Murder. I crawled to Walter. Blood on the dock. He grabbed my sleeve. Last breath. And whispered, check Emily's trust. Then he died. I stood in freezing wind, realizing this was never just revenge. Something inside Emily's inheritance was worth killing for, and I had just become part of it. Walter's blood was still on my coat when I opened Emily's trust records the next morning, and what I found explained everything. Hidden inside the trust was a clause tied to mineral rights on old family land my husband's parents once owned. Land everyone thought worthless. It wasn't. A development company had recently offered millions. Millions. Daniel never wanted Emily's ordinary inheritance. He wanted control of the trust before the land payout triggered. And apparently, others wanted it too. The men behind his investment firm. The ones Walter feared. I took the records straight to detectives. They moved fast. Subpoenas, asset freezes, search warrants. But before arrests happened, Daniel requested to see Emily from county jail. She asked if she should go. I said no. She went anyway. Some endings demand witnesses. I sat beside her in the visitor room. Daniel looked tired, smaller, without charm, without power, just a frightened man. He stared at Emily through glass. I did love you, Emily answered quietly. You used me. He lowered his eyes, then said something unexpected. The firm will come after the trust. My pulse sharpened. Names, I said. He hesitated, then wrote 3 names on legal paper. Partners, silent investors, men who hid behind polished reputations. And he pushed the paper forward. Take Emily somewhere safe. For the first time, I believed he was afraid. That afternoon, police arrested 2. The 3rd fled, and that should have been enough. But life rarely ends where justice begins. Because that night, someone broke into my house. I woke to glass shattering. Footsteps. I grabbed the fireplace poker. Yes, at 67. Still proud of that too. I moved into the hallway. Saw a shadow in my kitchen. Don't move, a voice said. Male, unknown. I didn't listen. I swung, connected, hard. The intruder stumbled. Emily screamed upstairs. I lunged for the alarm. Sirens triggered. The man ran through the back door, but dropped something. An envelope. Police arrived minutes later. Inside the envelope, a contract, unsigned, offering Daniel's firm commission rights from Emily's land trust, and attached, a death benefit clause if Emily died before distribution. My daughter, worth more dead. I nearly vomited. That document buried the rest of them. Within weeks, federal charges, fraud, conspiracy, attempted financial homicide. Words I never imagined touching my family. Daniel took a plea, cooperated. Maybe survival, maybe remorse. I no longer cared. What mattered, Emily was free. Months passed. The land deal closed. Yes, there was money, life-changing money. But after everything, it felt almost secondary. Emily asked what to do with part of it. I told her the truth. Use some to build something no one can steal. She opened a scholarship fund in her father's name for women rebuilding after financial abuse. That made me prouder than any inheritance ever could. One spring evening, we sat on my porch. Tea growing cold. Sun dropping. Peace, finally. Emily asked, Mom, if you hadn't come early that night, I smiled sadly. Then I'd still think I raised my daughter into safety. She took my hand. You saved me. I shook my head. No, you saved yourself when you showed me that folder. Because she had. Courage entered when she chose truth over comfort. And that changed everything. A week later, I visited my husband's grave. Told him about Walter, about secrets, about debts paid too late. Then I said something I never thought I would. I forgive you, but I won't hide for you anymore. Wind moved through trees, and somehow I felt